Hey everybody, welcome back to Just Around the Corner. Today I have with me Traci Barrios. She is the owner of Barrios Counseling. We also did grad school together, which was really fun. And we stayed connected just throughout our professional journeys. And so I'm really excited to get to talk with you today, Traci, and to just share with Northwest Arkansas what you're doing and yeah, how people can get connected to you.
Oh, I love it, Sarah. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Well, just to start off, would love to hear how you got into counseling and then what led you to where you are now.
Great question. So it's kind of interesting. I had a full career before counseling came into my life. I was in international business for 25 years with Walmart here in Northwest Arkansas and other vendors. And I had an amazing opportunity to travel around the world and have such great experiences. And as I started thinking about early retirement and what that might look like for me, I really wanted to be challenged and to do something that was fulfilling from a passion perspective. And so at that point, I decided to go back to grad school. And that's where we first met. And I have never once thought about doing anything else. Like just to be sort of the atypical student at a very different age back in grad school, and then going into a clinical environment, which is what I did for the first couple of years while I was provisionally licensing. And then also to establish now my private practice about a year ago. It's just highly rewarding to think about having two very distinct experiences from a career perspective.
Yeah. And I think that's so cool too that you were like thinking about early retirement and then fell into like a whole nother career and how, yeah, it's like a fresh start, it sounds like. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's this element of wanting to do something that really gratifies you from an emotional perspective. And I know that I had lived a lot of life at the point at which I was retiring, and I was ready to share some of my own experience in healing, continue my therapeutic experience with my own therapist, and then move to a place where I might be able to support others. And I remember when we first started early on, I would just like look around and think about like I am in such great company with
mhm.
such amazing people, and this is where I want to be.
Yeah. I I love that. And it really is like there is something to this counseling field where so many of us, I feel like, are just kind of drawn in as opposed to chasing after it. It's like it kind of chooses us, and we're like, okay, here we are. And all of a sudden, here are my people.
Mm.
And I'm getting to do something that has touched my life in a deep way, and then getting to share that in a really meaningful way with others. And so that's really powerful that that's been your story and that you are getting to, yeah, create this ripple effect that has
Mhm.
kind of branched out from your own life experience of seeing a lot of things, experiencing a lot of things, and then being able to say, hey, like I've I've, I've done some shit, and now I want to like sit with you and help you navigate what you want your life to be like and
Yeah.
how you can create newness for yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if this was true for you, but I remember early on thinking, I don't know that I can help anyone. And then just telling myself, like, okay, if I do all this work and incur this, debt of time and energy and financial uh, responsibility going into a new career, if I just help one person, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's how I approached it from early on. Just one person. If I could just help one person on their journey, like I've been helped, like so many people I know have been helped, it's going to be worth it. And it wasn't even, in the internship phase of our experience when we find out we are helping, and it's more than one person. It's
Yeah.
really impactful.
Yeah, what you're saying is so good of I think it is such a in a way like bizarre position to be in of um there can be moments where it's like I'm kind of just getting paid to sit and listen and talk with somebody. It can be hard to feel like am I actually doing something or am I qualified to do this or what am I even doing? And then to realize like the power of presence and listening and getting to sit in that seat and really have clients say like wow here are the ways that my life has been impacted and changed and just even I think too getting to see how we get to change as a therapist even in the process with our clients
Sure,
and so
sure.
yeah.
We evolve, right? And we figure out what not to do with our clients, whether it's disclosing too much or, you know, we have to set healthy boundaries with our clients. And that is not easy when you see someone in pain, right? But there's this beautiful element of, like you say, just being there
Mm,
for them to know that they're not alone. And I think in this day and age, in our culture and our societal like expectations, we can get very alone.
mm,
We can feel very alone when we're just doing it and hustling and grinding. And just again, I find that for so many of my clients, it's just being with them,
mm.
being present.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes me think of when we were our first semester seeing clients together in internship and we
Mm,
were in supervision together. And I just remember for myself, like all these professors were like, just focus on staying in the room. And I'm like,
mhm.
I want to do more than that. Like, come on, just stay in the room. And then I got in there and I was like, wow, man, like there is really just something about being in a space
Mm,
and just being able to be present.
yeah,
And yeah, just staying in that room that is so powerful. And um, just coming back to like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what I say. It's giving somebody an experience of being seen and felt that is so powerful. And I feel like it's sweet knowing that we got to kind of like learn that and experience that together. And um, yeah, just seeing the power of that.
yeah, yeah. I remember too on one of our earlier coffee dates. I know that you and I and our supervisor discussed it, but I also remember, and I don't know if you've connected with Leah, and maybe she's been on your podcast as well, or will be on a future one. But I remember she said something along the lines of, and it stuck with me, of if I can just do nothing more than validate
Mm,
experience, it's enough. And I was like, whoa, yeah, stay in the room and validate their experience.
mm.
Okay. Like those are really good, on the bowling, as you're a kid or even an adult, and they gotta raise the right, the boundaries up so you don't go in the gutter, those
Yes.
gutter or whatever. It's kinda like that. Like, stay in the room, validate what their experience is. That's it.
Yeah.
Bound to help in some way. You're bound to knock over one of their pins and help them heal.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't get in the gutter when you're doing both of those things. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love that image. And yeah, I haven't we haven't had an episode with Leah yet, but just for the listeners, Leah is also somebody who is in the grad program with us at the same time. And she is now also a counselor practicing in Northwest Arkansas at Gap Relief, which I've mentioned had some people on the podcast from there, but she's amazing and would absolutely love, yeah, to get to talk with her on here more. Um, and yeah, I think what you said, what you shared from her is so true.
Mm,
It's good.
yeah.
So, what inspired you to do your own practice?
Well, to be completely honest, I wanted more control.
Mm,
over my experience as a therapist, as a counselor. I felt like I loved being in the clinical environment because I was able to have such a broad range of experience with clients of different backgrounds, who had experienced many challenging things from, addiction, incarceration. I was subpoenaed in that experience to testify on behalf of a client.
Mm,
So you can imagine the gamut of clients that I saw. But at the same time, I was expected to meet, a certain caseload requirement. And not that that was a bad thing. It was good. It was it provided a lot of insight into some ways that counselors provide services. But for me, I thought as that period of my experience came to a close, I just wanted to have more control over my time, over we talked about earlier energy invested
mm,
in our practice. I mean, it's not to be underestimated the amount of energy we put in as we stay in the room
yeah.
and we're validating our clients. It's not light work
Mhm.
always. So that's why I decided I consulted with some amazing mentors of ours in the area and decided, you know what, with technology, with the right connections in the community, with the right guidance, there's no reason why I can't establish a space where I can decide, what days, how many hours, what kinds of clients I want to see or prefer to see over the ones that were just placed on my caseload
Mm,
in the clinical environment in the past. And
yeah.
so that having like that level of control is just so freeing. And I think it makes me a better person and a better counselor because I can balance my own self care
Mm,
and take time for myself
yeah.
and brag that I really only work 2 or 3 days a week. I mean, that was not my life before.
Right.
It
Yeah,
is
well,
my
especially in a corporate setting, I'm sure, um, kind of the energy usually tends to be, you work as long as it takes to get the job done.
yep,
Um, so
5 6 days
big
a
shift.
week, 7:30 to 5:30 or longer days. And now I like working longer days because I like being in the zone, but it's just a couple days a week.
Mm,
And then I have this ability to care for myself well. And I know my passion for travel and experiencing the world. And inevitably, I bring back that, refreshed energy with me. And my clients who choose to stay with me when I travel, we just pick up on telehealth. Everybody knows, everybody's comfortable these days with telehealth. So for a week or two while I'm out experiencing the world and doing telehealth sessions at 2 or 3 a.m. in Dubai to meet my clients' needs back here in Arkansas, just works.
mm,
And they see me as a human, somebody who's also investing in my own care and wellness. And yeah, so
yeah, I love that. I love that basically you got a wealth of different experiences and modalities of providing therapy in different contexts. And then you said, okay, what is the most authentic way for me to sustainably provide these services? And that looks like making time for you to prioritize things that you enjoy even outside of the counseling
mm,
sphere, and that yeah, that brings a level of self-care and refreshment that then is so evident in your work and
mhm.
works for you. And so that's so cool. And I love that you're showing one, your dedication to your clients, and that you're like, yeah, it's 3 a.m. in Dubai, but here I am. I want to listen to you and your story, and getting to just share like the freedom and the empowerment that you've chosen for your life and your practice, and how that gets to be modeled for your clients is so um powerful. And so I love that. I think that that's so important.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't be happier, at this phase of life, with the clients that I have, with the level of freedom I have. And I think there's an element to like the energy, but also the joy.
Mm,
Like if you're truly happy, like that just even as a therapist, it just comes forth, right, in your interactions. It just is impossible to hide. And people want to feel hope. They want to see someone who's flawed and has lived through trauma and still shows up and is excited to see them and fully experience their joy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's this balance of we get to be these imperfect humans that get to be totally just honest in our humanity, and also we come from a place of security and steadiness in our lives that allows us to carry what our clients are going through well. And yeah, like you found what works for you, and that just like radiates off of you. And I even just like knowing you and being friends with you, I can see that and feel that. And so I can't imagine just what your clients are getting when they enter a space with you.
Absolutely. And two, to know that I've cared for myself well out of the therapeutic environment so I can be fully engaged and fully present and, fully rested, even to be in that space with them, to do the hard work, to do the EMDR, trauma work or whatever they need from me. I can be present and be there for them.
Yeah.
And if their needs stretch beyond my scope of work and my abilities, then I have a great community like with you and others. And I can say, you know what, I know somebody who I think would even be better
Mm,
than myself for you. Or again, you just absolutely can't do telehealth. Well, let me refer you on to another amazing individual in this area who'd love to walk with you on your journey.
yeah. Yeah. That's so good. And speaking of, you mentioned EMDR, trauma, like tell us a
Mhm.
little bit more about what are your main focus areas? Like what's the ideal client that you typically work with?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I see that evolving so much over time, right?
Yeah.
Think this perspective of early on, I think when we were in practicum together, um, someone, they asked, what populations do you want to see or what would you absolutely not? And I was like, I kind of want to stay away from kids and high trauma. And everything through practicum and internship was kids and high trauma. And so from a modality perspective, I was like, oh, I better go back and get some training in this space. So I did my EMDR training and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I kind of pride myself on being just like rocking and rolling in containment. I can contain just about anything. I can help my clients contain just about anything. Um, and so there are these lovely elements of picking up play, and I did OCD training, eating disorder, ADHD. Um, I myself have struggled with trauma and anxiety. And so when someone goes to my page, that's what they see at the top of my website is, do you want to live freer? I did. And if we can alleviate anxiety, if we can heal the underlying trauma, if we need to focus on OCD or eating disorders or ADHD or autism spectrum disorder or bi- bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder, if you need a group for that, like let me let me help you. And so I also did Scotman to work with couples. Just as I was setting up my private practice, I was like, oh, getting a lot of interest from couples. I better go get trained in this. And we all have that general, right, experience, but then to go and to dig deep into these specialized opportunities to get really um, to work professionally
Mm,
with certain clients and their needs. um, I was all about that. We took a similar track where we were like kind of generally focused from an education perspective in our grad program. And I think you probably have much more specialization there. Then after grad school, I was like, oh, there's still so much to learn. So I'm going to go, as I see needs in our community, in my client caseload, I'm going to go get trained in these other things
mm.
and utilize my experience with clients to help other clients.
Yeah. That's so great. Yeah, you're like, I'm committed to learning what's out there and learning how to serve my community. And so that's led to you getting a lot of different training. And so that just increases your ability to work with those people and really give them the care that they need. And so that's so great that you have such um like a broad toolkit that you can pull
Yeah.
from and say, yeah. And if I don't know, or if I need to get training in it, I'm going to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, being a lifelong learner has
Mhm.
been really um, true in my journey throughout both my careers. And here I am today, like saying, hey, if I have a client that has specific needs, I can refer them on to amazing people, or I can go and find out what the best way to support them is. And I can do it again in a responsible way that meets their needs. That feels really good. Like, that feels really good to continue to be able to expand. And when a client comes in and says, "Oh, what about this or that?" I can say, "No, I don't have specialization, but I know someone who does. I know
Mhm.
someone who has real experience in this space that I'd love for you to connect with."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's good. And even just, yeah, it's so important to be able to have other people in your back pocket that you can refer to. And it just continues to something that I've talked about throughout the podcast is kind of my goal for this podcast is to build a network of people who are all approaching health and wellness from different angles, but we're really all on the same team. And that it
mm,
doesn't have to be a competition or we're working against each other or fighting for clients. But, and I think that that's part of what I'm hearing you say is like, I'm going to do all that I can to be confident and competent in providing care for my clients,
mhm,
and I can accept my limits in the areas that maybe aren't my forte. And I know amazing people who can serve you. And
that
there isn't this scarcity mindset of, I've got to, okay,
mm,
if I don't get this client, then it's all going downhill or whatever. That says something about you as a therapist. And I think that that just is so great and is so needed. And kind of, I think, even as I think about that from a client perspective, gives me relief of like, okay, I know that Traci's going to just talk to me for real because she's not trying to like sell me something.
mhm,
It's just an authentic interaction.
absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't be doing a service. I wouldn't be providing optimal care to my clients if I were doing that, if I were trying to, hoard
Mm,
them or become a specialist in every single thing. No, like,
yeah.
that's too much for one person, and it's unnecessary. Again, there are more than enough individuals with needs throughout the state of Arkansas, and hopefully, again, with the compact going through in the future, we have even greater potential to serve people around the US.
Yeah.
Like, I don't I don't need to be, and it would make me happy to try to be everything for everyone. But instead, I can call back the leading expert of DBT therapy here in Northwest Arkansas, who was an advisor for me in my internship phase, and say, what groups do we have? What individual practitioners do you know of? And where there isn't a lot of support in this space, okay, where's a class or what can I do to maybe fill the gap in the meantime
Mhm.
until there are enough people in our area who can serve a particular population of clients with their needs in the most responsible way.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, there are so many amazing clients, practitioners. I don't know about you, but I'm always connecting people with an outstanding psychiatrist in the area who was another advisor of ours in our grad program. Um, and so there's this, whether it's again, somebody to help them work on their self-care, or an individual to help them with their nutrition, or a sleep doctor in the area, or,
Yeah.
like, there are so many individuals.
Mm,
that we can create and have this beautiful network with
mm,
that can holistically help improve the lives of our clients. Yeah,
yeah.
for
Mm,
sure.
that's good. And even just thinking about the versatility and diversity within just this field, we've been talking a lot about therapy, but I want to know specifically, like, what does that mean and look like for you? And if a client were to come in and say, okay, what the heck is counseling? What are we about to do here? What would you say?
What is counseling? Um, I phrase it like I think a lot of people have the misperception that it's about going someplace and having somebody tell you what to do, right?
Yeah.
Counsel you on things and give you advice. And I don't see it as that at all. Like oftentimes, I don't know about you, but my own therapist, she says very little.
Yeah.
It's kind of that stay in the room for her and validate me and what I'm experiencing. And there isn't a lot of direction and solutioning and guidance. And so sometimes as I'm establishing, that therapeutic rapport with the client, I may say, what are your needs?
Mm,
Tell me what your needs are. Let's establish a couple of goals together, and then I'll tell you how I approach it.
mm,
And more often than not, it's a very person-centered approach. It's very like specific to them. If they're willing to talk about their trauma, let's do some narrative therapy. If they're not, let's do some EMDR. If they need, some support reframing or adjusting their, constructs about life, about family, whatever they need, I'm there to say, would this work for you? What if? Can you imagine a time when you might say or approach this scenario differently? And if not, no judgment. You're not ready. That's fine. Like, I'm not telling you, often say, please don't leave here and think I'm telling you to do this. But what would it look like if this happened for you? Let's visualize handling this situation differently. And that is just so beautiful to see because that's when, they have their Oprah aha moment where they have their, light bulb come on and they're like, oh, yeah, I can be vulnerable without being unsafe with this particular person. And so I am going to leave here and think about even like just entertaining the idea of doing something differently or thinking about myself differently or showing up next week and having a little bit more clarity about what I want from this experience. So, counseling to me, like I said, and I say it probably far too much, is just about walking with someone on their journey.
mm.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, I think you put that really well. It's a very collaborative process where you're just there to be like, okay, you tell me what you need. I'm not going to try to tell you what you need because I recognize that you know yourself and your experiences way better than me. And so let's create some goals together and we're going to work towards ways that we can do that best fits you. And it's a
Yeah.
very empowering process where your clients, they get to have say in what that
Mm.
looks like. And it doesn't have to be like, hey, you're going to go and do this when you leave. It's like, hey, can we just start thinking about something new, creating something new together that is healing? And that's really cool.
Yeah. And if it ceases to be, let me put you in, like, don't chalk it up to counseling didn't work for me. Like, let's get you with the right person.
Mm,
Maybe you do need a little bit more, guidance
mm.
uh, than what I'm willing or able to provide you because I'm not your mother, auntie, sister,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
if you need that, let's figure out how to get that for you. But
Mm.
that is not what this is.
Yeah, and there are a couple parts that to what you're saying that I think are really important is like one, sometimes clients have a bad experience and then it becomes generalized as oh, this is just what counseling is and it doesn't work for me. And
Right.
um, that narrative makes so much sense of
Oh, it
being
does.
counseling is a very vulnerable experience, and to have a negative one
Mm,
is really damaging. And so want to be so like careful and mindful of that while also acknowledging that every experience and every therapeutic relationship is different. And
mhm.
I just want to encourage listeners that if you've had a bad experience, that doesn't have to be the end of that story. And there are people that maybe it's just finding somebody that really fit your vibe, like finding a
Absolutely.
counselor's like dating. Like sometimes not everybody wants to be my client. Not everybody likes my energy or the way that I view things, and that's okay.
Yeah. Like the whole I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Maybe I'm champagne. Maybe I'm,
Yeah.
whiskey or hard liquor because you can't stomach me and that's okay. Like I am not for everyone. If you don't want a client with a nose ring or with tattoos or
Yeah.
with that's gallivanting around the world doing her thing, fabulous. I can get you with someone else.
Yeah.
I know plenty of other therapists who are amazing at what they do,
Mm,
share very little in common with on the exterior or values related or otherwise.
mm,
Respect them for what they do because they take care of clients.
yeah. So good. So good.
Yeah.
There's just um such a dynamic aspect to this work that I think can't just be stressed enough of this isn't like we're not trying to put people in a box, whether that's
Mm,
therapists or clients. And so yeah, I love that you're trying to give that freedom in the same way that you've given it to yourself of like, hey, I'm going to be the person and the therapist that I want to be. And so
yeah,
that means I want you to be the person that you want to be. Uh,
absolutely.
so yeah.
Absolutely. And take from it what you will. I'm a firm believer in that. Just like you brought up dating. We are not for everyone. So take hopefully something good from that experience and move on.
Mm,
Like no ill will. No, we don't have to villainize our former therapist or our former, partners in life. All we have to do is go, some things worked, some things didn't, and I'm ready to go ahead and in a caring way release you to the universe. And
mm,
that's it.
mhm.
And gosh, that feels really good. That in and of itself can make clients, when we talk about things like that, go, oh, I feel so much freer.
Yeah.
And that puts a smile on my face. That brings me so much joy.
Mm, I love that. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, outside of just some of the things that you're doing with clients, like, are
Hmm.
there other things that you're doing, other projects that you're working on that people can get connected to?
Yeah, yeah. So I have been doing a lot of work outside my private practice on an eco resort.
Mm,
And I love sharing this with other clients or other practitioners and people in our healing field because it is situated an hour from Fayetteville on 60 acres. I have developed maybe one of those acres into Ozark Paradise. And it's just really this healing space, right? So we have these lovely tents, like glamping type tents, this rustic outdoor bathroom shower combo, kitchen space where we cook outdoors. And I'm building a space on the property where we could do yoga and have like a maybe, I don't know, smoothie bar or something really lovely and nurturing, a little cafe. Um, and I love talking with other therapists who are like, oh, I specialize in equine therapy or in art therapy or this, that. And I'm like, let's let's do this. Like let's create some opportunities, some retreat opportunities for clients, for other therapists to teach skills. I want to learn those skills too. So let me be there for this. Um, it's just so lovely to think about creating a space in nature where we as practitioners can be well cared for and can have a different experience, so close to home. And then also where potentially we could bring clients.
Mm.
And you know me, Sarah, I am all about therapists prospering, right? So
Mm.
I want to see, I'll consult with them or help them put together an art therapy weekend, right? And they're going to prosper financially.
Yeah.
They're going to prosper in terms of experience. They're going to get exposure in their practice. They're going to learn new skills. They're going to engage with other practitioners and new clients. So I'm like, if we can, I'm sorry, but build wealth for practitioners, I want to be a part of that. And with my financial and business background, I know how to do that. I've
Mm.
been able to do that myself. And I want more therapists to have financial independence, to be able to make income off of 4 or 6 or 10 retreats out of a year in a space that's unique and close to home and conducive to allowing our clients to center and ground themselves. And so I know I could talk for days about this, and you and I have talked at length about this space, and I still have to have you out there.
I
Um,
know. I know.
enjoy. It's just been this like wave of creating a space, and then tornadoes come through Northwest Arkansas and wreak some havoc, and then clean up, and now putting the building on the space where I could do kind of multi-purpose, indoor, outdoor, yoga. Um, I don't know,
Yeah.
therapeutic, therapeutic indoor space if necessary, as well as the outdoor space. So yeah, it's evolving and it's changing, and I love working on the property. I'd love to have like an exact launch date. I'm thinking toward the fall sometime, probably relaunch.
Mm.
Uh, I have everything I need there to make it amazing, but yeah, I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I mean, as you mentioned, I want to go out to Ozark Paradise. And
Yes.
some Bell therapists and I fully intended to do that, and then a tornado disrupted. But
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you're continuing to evolve and expand the dream. And it like, I'm like, I want to go to this like place to just experience both an indoor and outdoor experience. And to just to learn, to soak in, to get away. Like, I think
Yes.
that there's so much benefit in that no matter who you are. And so I love what you're doing with that. And for people that want to learn more about Ozark Paradise, how can they do that?
Oh, that's a great question. So I have a website. It's called www.ozarkparadise.com. And you can see images there. You can see insight on kind of what brought about the creation of the space and what it's designed for. And then I'll have it listed on Airbnb. I'll like put a banner across the website and list when I'll have it listed, probably on Airbnb and HipCamp sometime this fall, into the spring. I'm thinking fall, even, into the winter of it. And
Mm.
then I have to kind of shut things down and care for the resources we have there well through the coldest parts of the year, and then relaunch in spring.
Amazing.
But I love the what it is now and the potential of bringing people out to really enjoy that space.
Yeah. And fall's such a great time to do that kind of a thing, to have a retreat, to go camping, to or glamping, like to be outdoors when the weather is cooling off. It's a season in life where there's transition both environmentally and in a lot of different ways for people. And so great opportunity. Yeah. For people that are listening and you're interested, I'll include the link to the website, and um, just providing Traci's information to not only connect to Ozark Paradise, but to Barrios Counseling, and how you can just get to know her more and be a part of what she's doing in Northwest Arkansas. So, yeah, this has been just so sweet to get to talk to you, Traci, and to learn more about what it is you're doing. And it always encourages and inspires me. I think, like, it's so fun getting to see you do what you do best, and how I get to selfishly benefit from that, just like personally and professionally, but also learn. And so, yeah, thanks for just sharing with us.
It's been my pleasure. It's really an honor to be part of this process of um, supporting your vision, creating this network
Mm.
of individuals who have a passion for and can support other individuals. Like, you're killing it. I love this.
Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good to have you on the team.
Thank you. I'm here for that all day, every day.
Oh yeah.